just introduce. Hello, we are live at the Tap Yard, and we are doing Freshly Brewed Poems, and we're kind of cheering this, so be careful with that. So, I'm Debbie Johnson. This is Freshly Brewed Poems. We are here because about 2 or 3 years ago, somebody said coffee and poetry goes really well together, and we hooked up with Larry's Coffee. Since then, we've moved on to working out of Facebook and other venues and stuff like that, but we still are very thankful for Larry's Coffee. We think the name is great. Mr. Dan invented that name, but it's also great because if you're in the morning and you're drinking your cup of coffee, you say, hey, I should write a poem, because look, it's freshly brewed poems. Bad joke, bad joke. So, there is a list going around if nobody has signed up yet. There's a list going around, it's right behind me. So, Art, and anybody back here? So I'll let this, and I'll go ahead and I'll start with my poem. That way we get some people signed up. I get it out of the way and I don't have to worry about and think about anything anymore and stuff like that. So, you know, I thought it was going to be raining, so I picked Rainy Kiss, and I thought that would be a good poem to start with. And if you don't like the way you look in this, just adjust it so that you look your best angle. Do whatever you need to do. All right, this is called Rainy Kiss. There was a kiss in the rain, 2 umbrellas overlapping at different heights, a canopy of color in the gray and moist daylight, ankles wet. I slide into your kiss. I fit under your arm in the sideways kiss of goodbye, leave taking, see you soon, 1 foot going, the other wishing to stay. Warm and flush from your embrace, I breathe in the stillness of the moment, a heart opening, a heart filling, a heart stopping moment, because there, in that moment, where 2 umbrellas overlapped, the world disappeared and there was a kiss. That was when I was in my nice mode. So. This one is called This Time. And this one has some pictures to it that I drew. So, this one, I did not have an affair with my handwriting, just want you to know. Just fun. Okay, well, just, it says, this time. That's another story. Timing the pace to match the waste of time, she makes a box of remembered sound, catapulting across the room, and stores them in measured rows of lines of times with tentacles reaching the floor. It's not the seemingly nonsense that drives her to berserkdom, but the seemingly sense that it makes. Take that, and she jostles her thoughts into the paper lid that forms the tray of her mind. Pulling it out like drawers in the mortuary, the morgue, the home of the funeral director, the associate, examining it like rock collections of her youth, the butterfly cases of the PhD, the recipes snipped and clipped, and well, that's another story. This story speaks of the wasted time, lounging on chairs and couches in front of phones and TV irons. The dryer rocks the clothes dry, the washer beats it clean, knocking the detergent to the floor. It needs to be balanced. It needs to be balanced, that's all, but how to balance? She's not the tools. The fridge line is frozen in the line and the disposal as well, stopping in time, no action from either. Oh, quiet. She'll do it later. Get the guy who fixes thing to come by and not fix it but say next time, and fixes something not broken, charges her anyway, and cleans the gutters but sweeps the yard instead. It's this nonsense that makes the most sense, paddling around in hospital socks, non-slip to slip into his arms. What do you think? A movie and dinner, or just the sex? You know, the blood won't flow to both. She hops on and hears her stomach growl. It's a trade. He'll do it next time. The movie, she means. The dinner ingredients dry up in the frozen fridge, and she muscles the dryer to clean the vent. She'll get the guy to come fix it, but he doesn't do appliances, so he'll fix something else that's not broken. And says, I won't charge you this time. I'll bring a brush to clean out the dryer so we can rock the clothes. But that's another story. The other story of her tender soft spot, making memories and boxes pulling loud like drawers, her drawers on the floor as she rocks her like clothes in the dryer, around and around, up and down and tumbling and dry. Moist to the fingertips, her memories linger, scent upon scent, crouching to see why the fridge is frozen. Under the peas and the tiny ice tray frozen in dinosaur shapes or piles of ice in bags waiting for storm. Take it all up. Take it all up to the counter, and you tube the answer to the quest, but end up crouching and crowded. Instead, not seeing what the camera shows, she'll call up the guy, and he'll help her put the peas back and not charge her at all this time. That's a hard one. And I got one last one. So I think in this town, everything used to be something, right? So this used to be probably a gas station or a tire place or something. No, actually, I think they might have built this. So this is how it used to be. So I wrote a poem called You Stuff. Okay. So I used to wake up and wonder if you were happy, but now I don't, because you're dead. I used to wonder if I made you happy, but now I don't care, because you are dead. I used to not get anything done because I saved all my spare time for you. You made fun of my I have so much to do's, but now I don't have time. Now I do, because you're dead. I used to wake up and wonder if you were happy, and now I don't, because you are dead to me. Anyway, so like I said, it's very casual. So we got some new people that came in. We've got them signed up, I think. I hope. I didn't give the rules to it. It is a 3 poems or 5 minutes. If you're, there was a musician in here at some point in time. I don't know if he's still here. So if he is, let me know. Who's got the list? I think Dennis really has, right? Yes. Dennis.
Thank you. I haven't done Disney yet, so y'all lucked out because I came here on my religious night. I'm not religious, but all these poems, there's 3 of them, and they're all about God. So the first one is titled, I'm Troubled. I'm troubled by God, or by my perception of her, or my expectations of her. I mean, consider. She knew when Judas pulled his chair up to the table that night, he would betray her child. She knew when Idi Amin took control of Uganda, he would butcher countless innocents. She knew and knows now what lay ahead for you and me and all of this humanity. She knew at the dawn of creation, before that even, that Satan would fall, that Hitler would rise, and Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King would live, and how and when they would die. Is this then about choices? The choices we make? A test of who and what we choose to become? Yet, she even knows those choices before they're made. And knows if I live or die, or if I rejoice or fry for all eternity, and in spite of her knowing she made me anyway, I'm troubled. Unless she can be surprised. And thusly innocent of my undoing. But if so, am I not then, are we not then, a mere entertainment? A sideshow? A toy? And if so, why? I'm troubled by God. This next piece is called Who is God? It's from it's actually an excerpt. It was, I don't remember which scene 6 or 9, from a play we put on at St. Louis, Missouri Fringe Festival back about 5 or 6 years ago.
Wasn't there.
Huh?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there? I was. I'll bet I'm the only one who was. I'll be darned. That has something to do with being born and raised in St. Louis. In any event, the play was about Syria and the horrors and tragedy of the civil war in Syria. But it was a hypothetical conversation among a group of children in a bombed-out section of the city. We were told the Jewish God brought us law and gave us vengeance. The Christian God brought us love and gave us indifference. The Muslim God brought us peace and gave us intolerance. Who is this God? This being who gives life, who raises up from dust and ash only to strike us down, even though so young, innocent of any crime. We talked among ourselves, lest our parents disagree. Some said they didn't know who God was. Some that he was real. Some that he was strong. Some that he created all things. But as we looked around, we agreed that had to be wrong. Then Miriam said God was a woman. For only a mother could see such evil in her offspring and still love the doers of these deeds. And a neighbor boy, Peter, said he knew and drew, creating an image of a man with large eyes, a huge smile, arms outstretched impossibly wide so he could hug everyone. We all agreed. Peter was right. We wanted, needed him to be right. Yet I could only think, God, if there is a God, must be part of it. Now, this is not a spectator sport, so I need 2 volunteers, 1 female.
Oh dear.
This is a poem titled My God for 3 Voices.
All right.
All right, 1 more volunteer. Can be a female or a male, that's great. All right. You get your script. We have to have like 30 seconds of coaching. Okay. Now, I'll be the straight upper lowercase, not bold, not italic.
I don't think tell you so it's like songs.
Yeah, okay. So you'll be the italic type.
Okay.
And we're going to talk fast. And you get all the bold stuff in there.
All right.
Except for this line right here.
Okay.
This line right here, all 3 of us say that together. That's a unison line.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
And I'm very angry.
We're kind of.
Just a little bit. Okay.
So okay, so here we go. Thank you. My God, the 3 voices. I'm going to put on my glasses. My God doesn't condone strapping on a suicide nest.
My God doesn't condone stealing land and livelihood.
My God doesn't condone acid thrown in a young girl's face.
My God doesn't condone 1,000 eyes for an eye, 10,000 teeth for a tooth.
My God doesn't condone genocide.
My God doesn't condone blockading an entire nation.
My God doesn't condone equality, cruelty, or injustice.
My God doesn't condone greed, indifference, or hatred.
My God doesn't inspire any books. Men wrote them and attributed their ideas to her. My God isn't now, nor ever was, a real estate broker. Theft in her name is simply that, theft. My God didn't create woman of man's rib. She made her in her own image and likeness. My God is a God of love. My God is a God of nurturing. My God is a God of life, learning, forgiveness, and peace.
My God. Thank you all.
That was a first, I love that.
I like that. That's pretty good. That's a good point.
And I'm next, which is
I think Margaret.
That's all right. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're up there.
No.
I'll sit down. Margaret's next.
Well,
That's right.
I will.
I'd like to introduce Margaret. I apologize to stand down.
oh no, it's fine.
She needs these ones that looks like they found.
Okay.
Okay. To this little girl, we'll find out.
This will not be a poem. This is a story from my life. I write memoirs. Each one. Yes, ma'am. Come on down. We have some fine cars here. I'm sure we can help you, says the man on the other end of the phone line, who has no idea who I am, or that I am about to drop a boulder into his life. The date is February 16, 2001, a Friday. How about I come down on Friday, February 23rd? Will you be there? I ask. Sure, that's a good day. I'll be here, he responds. His voice is confident and pleasant, his enunciation clear. He sounds well-bred, probably well-educated. So far, so good, I think. He suspects nothing. A week from today, we will meet for the first time since I relinquished him for adoption 34 years ago, when he was 3 days old. Born on January 27, 1967, he was Gregory Toman then, conceived by a young, single, unwed mother on low income, abandoned by her boyfriend several years before Roe v. Wade. Now he was Stephen Patton Grant, chosen son of a conservative, upper-middle-class family. My decision to find him at that moment was triggered by synchronicity. I was well into my adulthood, and he was well into his. The search agency that I had signed on with years before had just offered a reduced rate. My mother had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and I had saved the necessary funds for the search. There was also the incessant itch of curiosity. I had to know who he was, how he was, and what he had become. Go, I instructed the agency, find him. Swallowing hard, I wrote a large check and mailed it to a fake name at a post office box, from which, I was told later, it was forwarded to several other mysterious entities. At one time, the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles had a mole who was paid to help with clandestine adoption-related searches, but that person was no longer there. No promises were made about the time it might take to find my son, who could be alive or dead or living on one of Saturn's rings, for all I knew. 3 weeks later, during an otherwise normal workday, a message popped up on my computer screen. Your son's name, address, and phone number are. His parents' names and address are. He works as a sales manager for his father's car dealership. The telephone number for the dealership is. And then I stopped breathing. He was in Granville, North Carolina, a short road trip away. It was hope, not oxygen, that sustained me for the next week, during which I tried to think objectively about risks, possibilities, repercussions, ethics, and strategy. The dealership's number was scotch-taped onto my desk phone. On Friday, February 16th, I walked by the phone, stopped and dialed the number impulsively, not allowing myself time to reconsider. And now, February 23rd, I was on the road to Greenville in my teal-blue Toyota Corolla. Trepidation and excitement trading places every few minutes. What will he look like, I wondered. What is he like? Does he ever wonder about me? What if he is angry about being found? How might this affect his family? Does he even know he was adopted? When I arrived at the dealership around midday, he had gone out for lunch with his father. I bided my time in Wendy's for an hour, but I could not eat. I sipped iced tea and focused on pragmatism, promising myself that I would accept whatever happened with equanimity, including apologizing for the intrusion and promising never again to contact him if that should be required. I resolved not to cry, not to add unnecessary drama to what was already inherently dramatic. Then I took several deep breaths, sweep the last splash of tea, and return to the dealership. Is Steve Grant in? I inquired. Yes, ma'am. I'll call him for you. For the next few moments, I stared intensely at a flaw on the showroom floor. I do not remember the shiny new cars on display, the people milling about, the building decor, or ambient sounds. All I remember to this day, as if it were a dream sequence, is a 6 foot 3 inch handsome young man striding toward me across the showroom floor, his face open, his eyes smiling pleasantly at mine, his hand outstretched, the shape firm and professional. My son. Welcome to Granville, Miss Toman, he said. I shook his hand and feigned calm while my heart danced a brisk polka. It's delightful to meet you, I smiled. Before we look at cars, may I talk to you privately in your office for a moment? As we walked away, I noticed him roll his eyes as if wondering what he had to deal with today. I sat in a chair in front of his desk. He sat behind it, leaned forward with his hands clasped and asked, "What can I do for you?" "Steve," I said, "you and I had a rendezvous with destiny on January 27, 1967. I am your birth mother." The boulder dropped. His face froze into shock, his eyes huge with disbelief. An intense, paralyzing silence suspended us over an abyss for quite some time, during which I waited in patient agony to rise or to fall. "Wow!" broke the silence, followed by a long string of wows, uttered at various decibel levels and ranges of expression. "Damn!" he said finally, whacking his fist on the desk. Every year on my birthday, I have wondered if there was a woman somewhere thinking about me. Steve, I said, there's been a woman somewhere thinking about you every day of your life. Then, chattering like squirrels who had just found a laden pecan tree, we began tumbling questions and comments back and forth, trying to share every detail from 2 lifetimes in the space of a single afternoon. Looking back, we were both in shock. "Let's get out of here," he said. He locked his office door and drove me to his house, where he showed me pictures of his mother and father, his sister who had been adopted from a different agency, his girlfriend who was now his wife, and his 2 basset hounds. We exchanged telephone numbers and email addresses. When we went back to the dealership late that afternoon, I had an important request. "Steve," I said, "my mother is 88 years old and has just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. She is a stellar human being, and I want the 2 of you to meet while she can still understand who you are." "Okay," he said, "let me talk to my parents first. I'm not sure about my mother, but I think I can make that happen." When I left the dealership that day to drive back to Raleigh, I had kept my vow to remain calm and dry-eyed. But when realization dawned about halfway home, I pulled off the road and drowned my steering wheel. I had found my son. He was strong and healthy. He knew now where to find me. That I would answer honestly any questions he asked, and that I loved him. The fresh air of completion and excitement wafted through my mind, even as I instinctively reined in my expectations. Obligation had no place here. What the future of our relationship with Steve will be, only time and respectful space will tell. He owes me nothing except his life, which ultimately is his to live as he wishes. I realized that I was meeting him and letting him go for the second time. My life, like all lives, sometimes presents complex intersections requiring difficult choices, any one of which creates a path to a future impossible to know. Fear, indecision, and procrastination take up permanent residence at such intersections. Evicting them requires a measure of growth and grit, whether or not the decisions made in them turn out well or ill. Risk and opportunity are inseparable. The courage to find my son came when I stopped insisting on certainties and found Brentford on behalf of love.
It's amazing. That was Mark's first open mic too, and to bring us such a moving story. It was awesome. So, Sandy, follow that. Yes.
Wow, that's just cool.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. I just gotta take one, and I was getting a little missing. I actually know Steve. He's a small world.
I'm sorry?
I actually know Steve.
Woohoo!
It's such a small world.
Whoa! You know Steve?
Yeah.
You know
Well,
my
not like well, but I used to
you know my son?
I used to sell radio advertising back in the day in Greenville.
Woohoo!
And I used to sell it. Steve was the guy who made the decisions at Grant Mazda.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Grant Mazda.
Oh my God!
That's 20 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Whoa! I need to talk to you.
Well, like I said, I don't know him well. I just know him. But I mean, we got along. We had lunch and that kind of thing. We had a sales relationship. But
Was he
great.
married? Yeah, I guess he was married then.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, small world. Well, to tell you how well he's doing, he and his family are on the world's largest cruise ship right now, cruising through the islands. He's doing
Right.
very well.
All right. So
That's astonishing.
that really is hard to follow. But this is a poem that I read. I never know when reading whether or not to tell what it's about or not. But this one is about when my parents got divorced. I was 5 years old, and we go to my grandmother's house to visit with my father, who was never there, but we visit with my grandmother instead. But as a 5-year-old, I had a new father. All of a sudden, he was an incredibly terrifying man. Chain smoker, was rounded down, yellow teeth, and a Pepsi addict. And had a beat up old Peugeot, and we would drive from some of the most horrifying times for me back then was the drive from my grandmother's house back to our new home in Belhaven. I was from Washington, about 30 miles away. So anyway, this is titled Transitioning to Bob the Father. 27 minutes down Highway 99 from grandmother's house we go. If ever you rode it, forever you'll know. Above the road to Belhaven with its yellow split, steaming asphalt might, hovers a color there ahead in the wavering light. It's not quite discernible and certainly not quite bright. It beckons and sighs and breaths, summoning all its might. Bluing slightly, yet greener now, behaves like a variant of aqua shimmering between the waves. Mirage, mirage. A hot road lake lies ahead. Can we drown in it? Can it kill us dead? I wondered terribly as the chaotic car careened too fast ahead, the maniac at the wheel, frenzy in his teeth, snake bones crushed by the tires underneath. Silence, screamed the colors as they bounced from nicotine cloud to cloud. Silence, it said in secret to my childhood mind. Don't say a word aloud. Just focus on the color there and the safely wavering light. Try to find your color. Hold it tight until it fades to sleep each night. And this one's got nothing to do with anything. This is called Whispering Wind. How wicked winds the whispering wind among the plans of desperate men. Like vines that bend and choke, they twist the good to bad with fear, their favorite joke. They do prod and they do poke until the exuberant fall from the grace they once bespoke. Merely a word or two breathed at just the right time, or a laugh and a look that affirmed the wretched wind. That's all it took to launch the crime, the promise crooked, the bright young mind forever shook. To fan the fires of evil deeds and hearts that once held the sacred seeds of happy, healthy hail, crushed to dust, a gory tale. Doubt rides them down in the nights of every town where the mighty could have risen. Instead, they set their clocks, shut their windows, and lock their locks. In sleep they pray not to dream, lest on waking they seem more than believing they may be. So the crowd marches on, answering calls and breaking vows they'd hoped were long forgotten. With heads down, working to and fro, going nowhere to go. So they seek to soothe with bottle and full plate, ceding decisions to Sunday fate, wishing to meet their better selves at some far and distant golden gate. What have you done? What have you done? Ride the words on that evil wind. Nothing, answers none. As you were in the beginning, as you shall be in the end. Taunting, nothing. But twists and turns, in this self-created fate, bowing forever to the derisive, internal whisper wind. Who do you think you are? Simultaneous sighing fate, you could have, you should have been more, been great. And to lighten things up, this is a little more of a bawdy poem called Sanctification. You have a unique style, she said with a smile, and you have nice breasts, he replied straight after his quest. All the better to tempt you with as you consider whereon to lay. That's been decided, he was wont to say, but instead uttered the line, playing the game. Mayhaps we'll find out with a wink and a smile, mayhaps in time, in a way meant to beguile. And she drank from her cup, and his meal he did sup, and life went on this way for a while, until feeling the need to wander once more, he left without saying a word, back to the forage, back to the wood, where a salacious man can get up to no good. The next damsel he met was often quite wet, and her favors were readily given. His foibles forgiven, and gold flowed from her coffers. Until again he decried, what else are her offers that I should make her my bride? So away he did saunter, never again did he haunt her, and the wood consumed him once more. And so it went year after year, dame after dame, as is often the case when men of a certain taste pursue with singular haste. Then the evening came when he wondered, why must I wander, with nary a claim to my name, save knave and jack heart, and cad and consumer, either of love and lever of shame? Why insist on playing this game? Next time I won't be the same. So when his future prized peace paraded betwixt the trees, he sought to tempt her with ease, to surprise her with true love, to consider that, and giving with grace. Instead, he found haunt in the eyes so perfectly placed on her beautiful face, she'd no thought to disguise her loathe and despise for this foolish old man, no longer able to rise.
Oh, wow.
Prose.
Wow.
Sam always knows clever things. So going to have CK is going to come up next. Look, I forgot to mention that if you do like something, as art always leads us to do this, if you hear something that you like, or applaud, whatever you want, or go, woo-hoo, whatever suits you. So.
Awesome, got so much hard stuff to follow tonight. I'm CK. I'll probably just do one because mine tend to be kind of long, and then if there's time later, I'll go more. But I will say what this one's about. So I think I read this here once, like when it was a really small group, and we were at the point where we were going on like our 4th or 5th one, and I wasn't planning on it at all. And then it's one I ended up posting online, and it kind of took off, and it really surprised me because I think like a lot of you, when you write a poem, you kind of write it because you're like, no one else in the world has ever felt this way. So I'll like put it right here, or writing in general. And I'm gonna be 29 this year, but I wrote this about when I was in my early 20s, and I was on my college campus, and I went in the student health center, like a lot of kids do, and I'm like, I think I have anxiety, or I think something's wrong with me, and you kind of enter the cycle of the mental health system and what that is like, both good, bad, and ugly. And this poem is called Butterfly's Wing. And I am like 98% sure I have it memorized, so if I fuck up, just be nice to me. Got it. All right. Start off on 10 milligrams of Lexapro. Take it each morning and probably with food can cause headaches and nausea and changes in mood and all kinds of thoughts you did not have before. Can cause wondering what you are doing this for. Try Ativan and Remeron, Effexor and hanging on. You gotta try a bunch and see what sticks because a psychiatrist cannot perform magic tricks. But I am a woman who was sawed in half. And this is a student health center, violently understaffed. And I cannot find my will to live in the figurines of The Simpsons on the shelf of a man who's just trying to make a difference. And I used to take all the bottles to all the prescriptions and line them up numerically from the date they were written. And I thought if it got long enough, it would work like a map. Like breadcrumbs on a path, I could find my way back to where it all started and change everything. I'd take a fucking chainsaw to the butterfly's wing. And probably when I shouldn't, I'd quit them all cold turkey. If anything was gonna hurt me, I was gonna hurt me. And my brain zapped like the way that Google described it. If Marge didn't have it, maybe this is how I'd find it. And the lightning rod to the brain sounds a little relieving, like scratching a scab that is already bleeding. And I threw it for 3 days until they were out of my system for real. And I started feeling all the feelings, things I did not want to feel. All of the things that had been pushed down for a while. I went on a walk in the dark alone for a mile, and it is a cycle. It is all a cycle. They probably won't help, but it's enough that they might, though. And the floor of a bathroom is the floor of a bathroom at your house, at my house, at 2 in the afternoon. And Doc, I don't blame you. It is not your fault. You really did answer every time that I called, and it might be the fault of my parents or my brain or my agitating belief that we should all be the same, or at least that I should be a little more like everyone else is. A modern, self-aware, glaring deficit. And everyone on the internet is a bit of an armchair therapist, and he took their advice because it seemed like they cared a bit, and he bought a book about how they made up depression, how we can think our way out of this chronic stress we're in, and I Google every ache and pain thinking I'm gonna die, and he is incognito typing how to take my own life, and the 3-digit hotline is the first thing that appears like a stranger in a dial tone to be the real cure. But everything in this system is designed to be a stopgap. Shut up, feel better, and probably don't do that. And eventually they'll take him to the hospital, and then to court, and they'll say, we will shove help down your throat, and we will get you support. Back where we started this time with bills from the hospital, and realized you could charge $200 when you pass go. Something. But no shoelaces or door handles or overhead fans. This is always where I lose my place. Got it. Alright. Back where we started. Inside bills from the hospital, and realized you could charge $200 when you pass go, no shoelaces or door handles or overhead fans. I'm just gonna skip around. Myself and the others will predictably go into the helping profession. Soldiers lined up to be brave defenders. A degree from a good school, an Instagram quote, repost your story and remind you to vote. It is World Mental Health Day and you ought to know. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. It's a post that is crying and asking for help, but we needed it so we became it, but we still need it. So we all started drinking, smoking weed, and drawing our curtains and clicking our thumbs and running out of ways to make this trendy and fun. People don't fail themselves that often. People are usually calling, but service goes out and lines disconnected or called decline because we are both wrecked and we can't help ourselves or each other or a doctor, and repenting and remapping the sins of our father, and 2 dead cars cannot use jumper cables, but I would have helped you if I had been able. Thanks, y'all. One day I'll remember the only minor words that I wrote at that same part, but not today. Thank you.
Yeah, another one?
What time I can do it?
Yeah.
I don't want to take time from other people.
You're fine. Another one.
All right. I have a bunch memorized, but if I'm being honest, I'm kind of sick of doing them because they're the ones I do the most.
Do new stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a new one. And I think I just said I'm about to turn 29 this year, and I was thinking about how being 19 was 10 years ago, and I was like, 19 fucking sucked, and 29 is kind of cool. And I wrote this kind of as a conversation between my 19 and 29-year-old self, and just sort of about all of the things that can happen in 10 years, and yeah, I'll just let it. It's called The State of Being Alive. Watch your own blood fall out of your body and pool on the concrete. Play it cool, clean it up, let him sleep. I daydream of doing things without my phone, but Lord knows I can't be alone with my own thoughts. I need a buffer to stop these stories from popping up. Little moving pictures of all the stuff that I'm not trying to watch anymore. So I turn on my screen and I watch yours for hours until I lose feeling. There are no unique human experiences. I'll look up how much acetaminophen, I'll remold the shape I'm in, slow down the pace of this, erase all the traces of him, figure out what I can make of it all of this time. Can you clean with bleach from the inside? A red wine triggered migraine, but I will do it again. I'll romanticize my poverty for the sake of a film, get the point across with some sepia filters, fall asleep to a podcast about finding the killer, and wonder why I wake up stressed and sweating. Click on the ad and buy the new bedding, add it to cart, credit card. Your life isn't all that hard. The bank puts signs in a lot of kids' yards, and I'll take my dog on a walk, feel the sun touch grass. I'm not sure what I enjoy or what's helping time pass. Get a couple of degrees and pay my rent. Call yourself free and call your friends to vent. I moved a couple of states a couple of times, but the state of being alive is making me tired. But not enough to actually get a good night's rest. I'll scroll through the posts that say we're all trying our best. Cocktails and prescriptions and real ones to drink. I'll pay for streaming subscriptions and see a shrink. Complain about the construction outside of my house and production for what's all that noise all about. I'll forget to check the mail, it's piling up. Specialty shoes for the trail that you'll go on once. Get a hobby, move your body, have a clean girl aesthetic. But have a child, don't be snobby, be sympathetic. There are people out there hurting a whole lot worse, and the universe isn't sending you signs, but you tell yourself it is. You're nearing 30 now. Do you want kids? Don't get too deep. You're being odd. You're freaking people out with all these thoughts. And you put a box of unsolicited liquor into my trunk. You couldn't give me parenthood, so you offered me drunk. And I'll decline the cigarettes. I'm good. I'm fine. A completely arbitrary, randomized line. And for a night, I'm mixing wine and rum, anything to make it numb. But it ran out just like you. Saw what my insides were like and followed suit. So I'll cry on the staircase and watch the snow through the stained glass window. Keep the tears out with a barricade that you placed too low. And he's on the other side of the drywall. You're listening in. He's describing in detail the state you're in, and not in a way that sounds concerned. He just thought you were more mature. He didn't used to have a problem with how young you were, but one day you'll get older and you will learn. You don't think about it much, but sometimes you do. You can't trust your own thoughts to be true, and I don't remember what I remember correctly. Always some semblance of internal projecting, and they'll lose respect for you, but not for him. You'll carry the weight of the things he did, stare at the mirror in the laundromat, and I'll think real hard about calling my dad, but instead pick open my face until it bleeds. No one is coming looking for me. Take the clothes out and they're still wet. Not enough quarters to run it again. 14 addresses in 19 years. I hear you, universe, loud and clear. And you look like bones on the side of the road, but if you ever want to be seen, you gotta make yourself known. People will say mean things that almost do you in, and you'll make meaning of their words through opening up your skin and trying to figure out how to be less of a burden. Get a concert on the calendar, a strategic diversion. Read a letter that starts with your name. He couldn't make it to that band date. Hung it all up and handed off the blame. Tell him you're sorry, mean it, and understand. You can admit you didn't do the best you can. And measure time by all the different sinks where you brush your teeth. I want to assure you it won't always be this bleak. Well, kinda. I sort of want to hold back, and not because it actually stays that bad, because something about the snow and the hunger made you know you couldn't do it any longer. It lit a fire under your words, the first drop, the second, and then the third. Write silly little rhymes to make yourself heard. Graduate and give a speech, still too nervous to say what you really mean. You're not in love, but you don't live in fear, and it is you that got you here. And what's there still isn't yours to have, but it only really feels bad around the holidays, and you can't complain too much about just a few days. You have trust that it will be okay when January comes. The calendar isn't stoppable. You're not in love, but you do think it's possible. And every day you clocked in, every disconnected phone, every month spent paying back what you owe, every hotel that you called home for the month kept you from being where you come from. Let go of the shame and be proud of when you kicked and clawed. You saw a bigger world for yourself than the one you were trapped in, and you fucking made it happen. And it doesn't have meaning all of the time, but it has enough. You went from living day by day to month by month, and you are whole, you are here, you are happy, you survived. You are comfortable with the state of being alive. Thank you.
Did you have another one?
Huh?
You're entitled to 3.
I feel like that was like 8 minutes long, so it's okay. There's time to do.
It's always a treat to have you. She's right. It's the first time we were doing a lot of this. We went through a couple of times because we had like 5 of us doing things. So this is awesome to see this many poets. Thanks, Linda. See a bunch of people. I think Granville, you're on next, my love. Is anybody in need? Art. Hey, Art. Hey, Art. You want to do? I was going to say you want to do it, and I could put him.
No, I got
Celinda.
Oh, Selena.
Yeah.
All right. This is Granville.
I'm glad she made it. Is Jane? How she got here?
Need any adjustment to this?
Hello, hello.
don't want to upset anything, so I just go as it is. Anyway, my name is Granville John Hedrington. I had a couple of poems that I wanted to perform, but I hadn't performed them in a long time. So I started, I may not finish it, and that is embarrassing. I don't like to do that, but I'm going to attempt one, and then in the meantime, I'm going to do what I know. I'm sure that's going to come out right. I'm going to do this poem. This is one of my favorite poems to do. I wrote this poem a long time ago, close to 40 years ago, and don't judge me. It's called The True. My son calls it the classic. It was one of my first poems that I wrote, and when you're attempting to write something and it came out right, this was it. This one is called The True. I have traveled to the core of my soul, and I have seen the uttermost parts of my belly. Yes, I have faced my fears. I have pondered understanding and interrogated madness. Wisdom has felt my scrutiny. Wit made an ally of me. Secret places became my abode. In the silence, my mind played, frolicking with the intangible. And this became my chore in life. Just something to do in the scheme of things. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow.
I'm going to show you this poem. I hope I get it done. This poem is called Alone Again. Oh shit, thank you.
You got it.
To the lonely road, the road less traveled. For here the disappointments are few. For of the hope deferred, I am so tired of it. So tired of it. Muzzle my glee then, for of joy she is saddled with sorrow. I will keep an even keel, and my expectation few. So disappointed with disappointments, yet here I stand, battered, bruised, forlorn, yet I stand. I shall return to my broodings, the melancholies I will embrace. I shall tarry here and revel in the silence, listening to the beats of my heart. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm doing our short ones tonight. I'm going to do this one. This one is called, this one is about death. Yes. Is that the Margaret? This one is called Beyond the Grave. That means it haven't done it in a while. Beyond the Grave. The thought of my death is an insult to me. I am above this. This cannot be my fate. It is beneath me. This cannot be my fate. It is beneath me. I would remonstrate the indignity. I will demonstrate the indignity. Rigor mortis and I should never be acquainted. The rigid fool, I am befuddled. It disturbs me that I should have an end. Mortality, I am above it. The grave cannot contain me. It's a sham, a farce, a temporary thing, a transition, and it shall pass. For we are more than this. We are more than this. That's it. Thank you.
This is great. I was going to ask anybody if they've got their phone open to make sure my live feed is going, if anybody's checking, just in case you're looking. Because we are doing it on the Facebook Live. Hello, guys. Making sure everything looks good. So I think the person that Art was supposed to go, but he had to take off. He said he double booked himself. I see Neirl. So Neirl, tell us. I'll have you tell us a little bit about yourself, because I think this is your first time with us.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Neirl. I'm your husband, actually, since I'm married. Hello. My wife and I, we just moved here from Minnesota pretty recently, about December. And St. Paul. Are you, like, from? Really? Interesting. All right, okay, we'll talk about that. Great. No, we'll talk. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, we just grew up in Texas, lived in Minnesota for like 15 years, and then I got really cold, and I moved here because it's nicer here. So anyway, I'm gonna do a few poems. This first poem is about, there's a lake in St. Paul called Como Lake, Lake Como Lake, whatever you want to call it. And this poem, I just took my dog for a walk around it and then had a bunch of thoughts. So this poem is called Water is Distantly Related to All Other Water. It's early November and we're walking around the lake. Well, I'm walking and Zoe is running between sniffing opportunities. No one else is at the lake despite its clear asphalt and views of every nice house in St. Paul. No one else is at the lake because I'm self-employed, which is a fancy way of saying I take my dog for long walks at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. The paddle boat rental shack is boarded up for the season. The loved boats hibernating inside. In July, the aquatic plants were so thick, you almost believed you could walk out past the shore and feed the fish that diligently try to swallow the sky. But now it's November, and all the duckweed is gone for the winter, like parents heading south in an RV. When I was 10, I almost drowned in the lake down the street. On the maps, it's Taylor Lake, but real ones know its real name, Mud Lake. It must have been a prolific mud breeding season that year because I was wakeboarding, yes I know, and my board got stuck in the mud after I biffed particularly hard. I'm talking 8 feet of air with no plan on coming down. I'm talking Icarus, clutching a ski rope. I wiped out so hard I was breathing nuclear, and the bindings that were supposed to keep me in the board were, but suddenly the board was in the mud, which was under the brown water. There was this There was this tunnel between me and the surface, a passage between the world of lights and breakfast and me, small boy just trying to fly, a backward path to heaven where the bright light is the sun, and the relatives calling to me or my dad and brother wondering where I'd gone. I say often that I say often that I'm sure I'm not going to kill myself, and here's how I know. When given the choice to either stay in my watery kingdom or return to the world where I changed and decided nothing, I shucked off my boots and I swam. I could have been the emperor of Mud Lake, forever haunting its silty, stinking shores. All I had to do was nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world to not swim. The water is warm enough to be confused for arms. The bubbles swimming past could be taken for planets. Fish are either always approaching or running away. I don't have to be here, but I want to. I choose every day more life, whether I'm circling or underneath the lake. When my breath catches and I'm drawn downward and the light begins to fade, I cut myself free and I swim. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry?
That was pretty good.
Thanks. It was all right. Yeah. It's not the worst thing I've ever written. Great. I got two more poems. This next one's short, and the one after that's a little bit longer. This, you know how you can be disgruntled and being gruntled feels really awkward. Well, this poem is called "Gruntled List." Because there is no way to prevent the world from re-becoming dust, and because I'm trying to love myself more, here is what I'm proud of. Every dog who ever wanted them received from me extra pets. I drove enough to circle the earth at least 10 times and never crashed the car. Even though I gave my love to two people who might not have deserved it, I knew that love is not a finite resource. Even if I was a bad roommate, I was a good friend. If someone asked me for help, I helped them. When presented with a wall and a brush, I painted the whole goddamn fucking thing. Thanks, y'all. One more poem. This next poem, it's got a long title that completely tells you what it's about. All right. Thanks so much for having me. This is really fun, and it's really nice to see you. This is down the street from my house. So, all right. This poem is called "A Tirade Against Hot Tubs Giving Way to the Universal Consciousness." It's not just that I have OCD, I do very bad. I wash my hands until they bleed, and my brain makes me think about killing myself my brain's made me think about killing myself every half hour since I was 14. But I refuse to have my hatred of hot tubs essentialized to just my mental illness. I hate hot tubs because they are biology experiments you are supposed to relax in. What do bacteria like? Warm, wet. What are hot tubs? A hot tub is a slow cooker for staph infections. Hot tubs are what you would get if Pink Eye had advertising. I hate hot tubs more than my dad because my dad never pretended this was all supposed to be fun. Okay, so let's also not essentialize OCD to just germs. I am worried about so much more than germs. Humans are just rocks that got squishy and learned how to think, right? Most of everything everywhere is oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon. People are just peculiar concentrations of those four things, and I know it doesn't make sense to think like this, but if those things flake off of someone, they are imbued with that someone's energy, and I, a separate someone with my own discrete socks, calendars, stones thrown, and stones kept in the hand, things to do, things to never do again, might touch their molecules, and what's to stop me from becoming a little more them? If we're all just atoms that like different music, what's to stop me from shaking hands and suddenly caring about jazz? Hot tubs only accelerate the process. They make of all of us one soup. From soup we began, and to soup we shall return. Soup is things warm and helps you live. Once everything was soup, and then in that soup something moved. The only difference between me and exploding star is that I am afraid to fall apart. The only thing that makes you not me is where we woke up today. We're just a couple of flakes of stars. And the time it takes to get between them everywhere is either warm or cold. And I didn't ask for this warmth. But now that it's here, I'll hold it like all the other candles have gone out. Thanks, y'all.
That's some good shit.
That was amazing. So his wife is here to relegate us. So it is only like 10 minutes after 8. We're here till like 9. So we'll do that. If anybody afterwards wants to come up, because this is the end of our list. Is anybody not signed up, or anybody want to do anything else? We might talk about another round. No, okay. Yeah. All right, Miss Amy.
Anny. With a Y.
So it is.
Anny with a Y.
Anny with a Y.
Hi.
Sorry.
Oops. We're gonna edge up.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's like taped.
I used to be good at this. Okay.
Well, you probably were good at one that was actually a real thing.
I think that it will endure.
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you so much. I'm not as polished as Neirl, and I wasn't planning on reading. But this feels like a really cool space, and so I signed up late. And these are all first drafts, so they're really not polished, and I'm gonna have to read them. So, this is from a writing workshop that I went to where we did an interactive story building exercise, and I ended on Craigslist because I love free stuff on Craigslist. So that's kind of the basis of this. She, almost obsessively, scrolls through the free stuff section of Craigslist. The river rock someone over-purchased for their garden overhaul. The kitten that was cute at first but cannot stay. The interior door they cannot stomach walking through anymore. It clashes with their open concept lifestyle. Of course, these objects have both more and less of a story than she is describing. They are simply objects that no longer hold value within their homes. The vultures and blue-collar artists will swoop in, elbow grease and vision, a second-hand type of greed, and kindness. She wonders when her own body became a garage, brimming with creative intentions and can-do attitude for everyone else's discarded pieces. She wonders where she will park her car as she inquires about the dimensions of an antique desk and lusts after this description-less piano.
Wow, that's really good.
Thanks, new friends. Okay, this one, I'll do one more, and it has a little bit of a preface. I think you'll enjoy it more, perhaps, if you have read the book or watched the miniseries that it's based off of. This is about one of my favorite miniseries called Alias Grace. It's an adaptation of a novel by Margaret Atwood, who you might know from The Handmaid's Tale, which became very popular. And it's based on the true story about a woman named Grace Marks. So I'll give those who have not read or seen it a little bit of backstory. So Grace immigrated to Canada from Ireland during the Victorian era and went to work as a housemaid in the country. At 16, she was accused and convicted of murdering the housekeeper and landowner. The story explores, there's no spoiler alerts here, by the way. The story explores whether or not she committed the crimes through the lens of her interactions with a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist and overall community becomes fascinated by her complexity as a woman and mortified at the trauma she endured throughout her life. And the psychiatrist is secretly sexually obsessed with her. I'm not going to go into any details, but this is my favorite, and it's my favorite for a reason, and I feel a specific connection, and so I wrote a poem about it. So hopefully that gives folks some context. Grace loves that you consider her a monster. There is no delineation of a monster-S. There is no directionality of who first pulled the dagger across fault and flesh. Monster allows her to plainly be the quilt, artfully pinned together in the traditional pattern when the mind is so severed, when the past has been butchered and bludgeoned by the whole town until everybody and nobody knows the story, when the blame and temptation are of more importance than the diagnosis. How powerful it is to unravel the devil himself, to pull the yarn, thin and monochromatic from his irises into heaps of frayed, soft entitlement. They all want to know what is behind the dark veil, experimenting with how to dissect a still beating heart. They all want to know the timeline, who said what, and the dress she was wearing, and the hands on the shotgun, as if a map of where it happened would sail you across each ocean of abuse suffered and survival won, as if she could tell you in words how to pull her apart and feast on the bruised fruit and be yourself full and satisfied. They all want to see the memory as if it was their own, to hold it close without smelling the blood or staining their shirt, an object of so much intrigue, a mind worth shearing, a monster picking off the sheep after nightfall, one spool at a time. Yes, my good friend Grace does not mind being the monster of this nightmare for once.
Thank you. Do you have another one?
No.
No. No, that was a challenge, wasn't it? Yeah. So that is the end of our list. We had somebody in here that said that they were a musician, but I do not see him. So has anybody got a burning desire to do one more poem? Anybody have? I mean,
I'll do
all right. You want to do one more? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we got till 9. So.
You got 39.
Yeah, well, don't you take them.
No. I'm not.
Please.
I'm not as greedy as I used to be. Okay. You did a poem earlier. You did a poem. I think was it the first poem? I did second poem. And it inspired me. It was inspired me to do this poem. Because you were talking about being alive and and about this point here, probably about, I know the first time I showed it to somebody was about 2013, but I know it's probably about 15 years old. And as usual, I don't know if I'm going to remember it all because I haven't done this in a long time. I think I did this poem once actually, in Fayetteville a few years ago. This poem is called She Is Life. She is life. the light approaches, and I fathom the woman more. Her task, her mandate, oh, in the face of all this aridity and disenchantment. Life she harbors, life she cosets. Her glances assures procreation, and ever the twain shall meet. There is great power at work here. It is palpable. My sister has always been, a mystery to me. That's probably not the word. Yeah, my sister has always been a mystery to me. Standing aloof, I can see her mind at work. What secret she harbors, the roving mind, the endless wonder. There seems no fathoming this, never the scratch that will remedy her itch. Standing at the observatory post of life, I observe the affairs of the species. Powers hidden within the flesh, scary and exhilarating. This is her task, an endless wonder. The woman, nations, lives inside her. Thank you very much.
I have to say that Granville was the first poet that I ever saw. I've only been back to poetry for about 10 years, but I saw Granville probably it's the first time that spoken word type of poetry, so I've always been a great fan. So, I think CK or Sam? I want you to get up. Yeah.
Ladies first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Ladies first.
All right, I have these two that go together. I promise they're not as absurdly long as the other ones. The one is one I wrote like going on 4 years ago now, and I've done it a few times. And then the second one that goes with it that I'd like to do is sort of like me writing out the ones more 4 years later. That's I think maybe a little more self-aware. This is a poem called Last October, and I don't know if you've ever had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner where maybe the relationship was fun because you got drunk and did a bunch of drugs all the time, and everything is fun when you get drunk and do a bunch of drugs all the time, and then it stops being so fun for some of the people involved, and they don't grow out of it. So it's called Last October. Also, there's a large group of people walking towards the door, so I'm going to wait 5 seconds. You're okay.
Are you here for poetry or for the
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
All
obviously
right.
they are.
awesome. All right, it's called Last October. I've been thinking a lot about last October, and I kind of hope you never get sober. You were showing up drunk, but you were showing up, and that's more than I can say for any other month. And in January, I'll wonder if you're going to do a dry every year you'd say you were going to try. It was always preceded by nights in December that you couldn't remember, 10 missed calls, 4 a.m., swear to me it won't happen again. And in September, I read you that letter, and I begged you to get help, the closest to helpless I'd ever really felt. But for some reason, by October, you started to remember why we even liked spending time together. And March was the first time I saw you get high. I watched you take my keys to the counter and make 2 neat lines. You grabbed my waist with your arms and you pulled me in close and you asked if I knew what you loved about me the most. And when I told you I didn't, you shook your head and you said, I don't try to control you like your friends' girlfriends did. And you encouraged me to reach out to my cousin in May to hear him out on what he had to say, that being family was more important than any fight we had before. before, and to hold a grudge against him was being immature, and having him over for dinner wasn't what I had in mind, but you regained access to the pills he had always been prescribed. And it took 2 minutes for you to take one after he left. I watched it travel down your neck and work through your chest, and we forgot about dinner and played video games for hours before you took off my clothes and we got in the shower and we stood in the path of the steaming hot water and you looked in my eyes and you told me you wanted me to make you a father. And by that point, the clock on the stove was blinking 6 a.m., the night energy being broken by the sun coming in, and you were turning up pockets of the coats we had wore where you swore you put the other pills you had bought the week before, and the closer you got to the end of your high, the more we fought. So even though I know it's a fucked up thought, I kind of hope you never get sober. Because now we're in another October, and I think a lot about the girl you'll love after me, how I truly hope she gets to experience you clean, mostly because I want to keep those good parts just for me. She'll be spared the drama and the constant fear. She'll never have to clean up next day beer. She'll get farmers markets and baby showers. She won't be up wondering where you are at all hours. She'll get dabbed by the grill, not worried about bills, you when you are sober. But she'll never feel love like I did in October. Thank you. Alright, this one is a lot shorter, I think, but so that was another one that I put online and the response was cool, but I tried when I first wrote that poem, there was supposed to be a lot of subtlety in it, like I was there too, and I feel like maybe that didn't get picked up as much, so I wrote this one to be like a little more direct about that. So it goes, I'm supposed to be a good girl, but there's no rest for the wicked. We stood in the dim light of your new friend's kitchen. I'm getting mad, you're having doubts, but we both got to this party somehow. You're strung out, I'm so down. Your friends got the speakers up so loud, it's so late, it's so early, the bass is drumming in my dog's ears. Man, why'd you let me bring my dog here? And can you turn it down for a fucking second? Please let me breathe. Mac and cheese, hard crusted on the pan. You gotta stop doing shit like that, man. I'll say from my broken down van that you call a high horse, reinforce the idea that I'm sitting at a higher level, aware of the irony, the pot and the kettle. I'm picking the petals off of the stem. He loves me not. I'm no better than him. And anything he offered me, I would have taken. Such a fragile foundation for my shaken moral compass, so I'll swear off the lifestyle, condemn it, and take up running. But we didn't fall in love at 7 a.m. We fell in love to the mayhem of stand in line, check your ID, and I wanted to be doing whatever you were thinking. Borrow your shirt, text you later. Those were the kind of plans we were making. And I liked it just as much when you still liked me, but now my nose is bleeding, I'm throwing up, I'm coming up with reasons why this is your fault. And I don't know how to do sunrises with you. Our blackout curtains are doing what they're supposed to do. And I thought it was fine because we hung them up, take the bag around and clear out the cups, put on my beer shoes, take out the trash, throw all the stones at the side of the glass, and I guess that's my role in it. I'm not any better, I just felt the guilt different. It's heavy, it's shame, it's disdain, it's resentment, a declaration of reinvestment every few months when we miss each other again, hating you for your contentment and calling you my best friend, making excuses, call us both human. My friends think you're the worst, but when you call someone who puts the worst first, and I'll tie the knot with my teeth and lay myself on the tracks, you would have just passed by, but now I'm eye to eye with this train, masochistic, sadistic, self-inflicted pain.
I don't know what I have to do up to next. So we had some new people come in. Does anybody want to do any poetry or no? What's that? Can you watch? Awesome. So Sam, is you have something?
Sure.
Anybody else want to do another one? Okay. All right. Cool. I'll sit there.
And I'll tell you why I wrote this. I went to a poetry reading and I tried to read and I got so nervous. It was really horrible for me. This is the one that BAE.
Okay, yeah. That was kind
Yeah,
of
so you
nerve-wracking.
remember because you were like, yeah. You
No,
saw it.
I just said yeah because it's kind of a nerve-wracking environment.
And so it really bothered me because I was like, why did I get so nervous? What was it? You know, because I was fairly confident what I'd written. And the more I thought about it, it's like, because I wasn't really opening myself up. I was halfway opening myself up and still hiding behind the words. And I'm sitting there and like, oh my God, people can actually see me. And I'm not really quite there. So I wrote this poem because I was like, I need to really expose myself if I'm going to do this. So, and I'm also working on a biographical book of poems, and this is one of the first one. This will be the second one in the book. And it's called It's a Giant Hairy Nevus. A congenital nevus is a dark-colored, often hairy patch of skin that is present at birth, and it grows proportionally to the child. A congenital pigmented nevus is considered giant if by adulthood, it is larger than 8 inches in diameter. The one in question was larger than that while still in the womb. It's a giant hairy Nevis, I do declare, declared the doctor of the scare, greeting my parents on the day I was born. He was referring to the repugnant brown and hairy stain that marked me from the top of my right shoulder down and across my back, covering nearly its entirety, and wrapping around the right front of my waist and the top third of my right buttock. Other than that, he's perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, as if 2 digits times 5 begat perfection. Other than that. And other than plynoric stenosis, which would return me to dread hospital to the surgical floor soon after the less than triumphant parents bore me away to the house with no heat at the end of the long dirt lane that had no name. Then it came to pass, after 3 near-death weeks of bouncing hairy Nevis baby bliss, the first cold slide of the scalpel, that lingering kiss, the second slide, the visible addition. From sternum nearly to umbilical stump, a straight slice that for some reason was accompanied by 7 crude cross cuts to each side of the mane. Dr. Frankenstein was never one for aesthetics. Other than that, he's perfect. Other than that. And other than the length of my small intestine, which had already decided to choke themselves in some suicidal effort to rid of me, one way or another. Looped intestines tightening into knots, staunching the blood flow, impeding the proper progression of poop. My infantile discussion with death was not entirely without scatological levity. The external slice is actually cold and feels very smooth, as if you've dropped a piece of ice down your shirt and it slid, melting its way rapidly across your belly. Then it sears white hot. The nerve endings know they translate passing pain into forever thoughts. The bloody work on the inside, the cutting and pulling, feel more like what they are, a rough rearranging of your inner cosmos, a tug of war with your essence, playing the part of the road. Good as new, declares the Victor, just a few stitches. Other than that, he's perfect. Other than that, in the scar that extended from the first to below the belt line, and other than the curse from the toddler's subconscious suicide attempt, as if God had shouted karma. And because of its significantly shorter journey, your waist would flow freely where before it was blocked, to now end up often in your pants, or dripping down your leg and onto the floor, as you pretended it wasn't happening, and prayed to karma that no one would notice the smell. But they did. They always did. The first grade team hadn't learned how to respond, but by year 2 they became a crew against the giant hairy needy little boy, taking the lead from the leader, the tender teacher, Mrs. Whitfield, marching the Nevis down the hall of open doors, with her rooms full of the snickering horde, to the bathroom for the decontamination beating from the decontamination board. Behind the door to the boys' bathroom in Belhaven Elementary lurked the tight squeeze of the arm and the jerking down of the pants and the spread your legs, you nasty, filthy, shitty boy, you nasty piece of shit. You filthy, fucking, stinking shit fucker. Which faded to more disgust under her breath as the Nevis stood face first against the concrete block wall, hairily and nervously exposed, as she raised your shirt and smeared and bruised with institutional paper towels that get browner and wet. We weren't always alone in that bathroom. Sometimes she'd make the other kids watch. But other than that, practically perfect in every way. Except for the other things, except for the we don't mention things, the done with intention things, and until the unveiling and that which came with the summer shame.
So we got sentence.
So, just a wee bit of background. This is a true story. I was drafted in 1969, which tells you something about how old I am, yeah. I graduated college, that was the summer of love, yeah, right, sure. In any event, I was made a squad leader in basic training, and there's a fellow in my squad named Garcia. I don't remember his first name. That's what this piece is entitled. I'm going to try to recite it. So if I break down, just like forgive me and I'll get back to it, and hopefully, and all that shit. So here's Garcia. You're 17, just a kid. Was it the absence of a father or too much TV that made you like that? That July, you were so eager, airborne ranger, jump out of airplanes and kill every bad guy in sight. Come September, off the Mediterranean, it hurt you. I could see it in your eyes. Ill at ease amongst all of us pacifists. Come November, remember? A killer turned healer. Still jumping out of airplanes to save a life if you could. Not take one if you could. In 5 sharp months, a killer turned healer, a big time talker, but now a thinker and a reader. A whole lot of laughter, but with a lot less sass. Yeah, I never see it. Did you make it?
Memorizing is the hardest part. It's sort of like my goal to do. So I will do one, but anybody else have anything? Kathy? Okay, Kathy. This one's called Memories Ionic. Memories Ionic. Somebody's having a bad day. He was comfortable in airports, remarking how tedious the same landscape can be. Even this beauty can be tiring. You gotta go. Take the whirling magic that is you with you. Let your wheels hit the sky in the classic noir of bye-bye, bye-bye. He is sipping somewhere. You imagine sunlit and ionic. Its beauty breathless, can be overwhelming. Gotta go. The magic stays swirly with him, the classic noir, plangent, platonic, bye-bye, bye-bye, always bye-bye. So that's a good way to end, because it's with you, bye-bye. How about you? So, thank you guys for coming. Freshly Brewed Poems, it's kind of a little, sometimes we hit or miss with some people, and this is a great group, like CK was saying, she just likes this little group that we have, so stick around and let's chat. We do have the open mic comedy, it's going to be in there if they come, but we know about comics, they kind of show up when they want to. Anybody else?
Yay!